You know how Michael Jordan retired and then came back wearing 45?
Oh, I didn't know that. I know it was 23. I didn't know he came back.
I think it's like 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I always said to myself. Like it was just he just wanted
Yeah.
the sequential order.
You have a thing with numbers and letters
Colors.
and colors.
Yeah.
Oh,
Numbers,
PPP.
letters, and colors. You know what? I'm a toddler. That's like
Good
I'm
job,
like
Scott.
I get so excited when Arya plays with stuff and does like things with colors. She like separate the colors of certain toys, and I just get so visually excited. I just love it.
Well, you know,
Um,
if someone's going to be an accountant. When I was in kindergarten, I was really good at patterns. So that should
yeah,
have been the sign that I was going to be an accountant.
I think Arya is going to be an accountant. Arya is very good with the patterns and the colors and the numbers and sorting and counting. Like she just loves big mounds of stuff to kind of like move around and count.
Organized.
Like yeah, she's the one of the most organized kids I have. I've got some vastly
One of
different kids.
one of the most organized kids I have. I like that.
CPAs, sons and daughters today. Me and Nix have been recording separate bonus episodes of the CPAs called Nick's Tips, where we share a bit of useful piece of practical advice as it relates to running a professional firm. Oh, by the way, we have Nicole here. Nix.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi. Nice to see you, Blake.
Good to see you too, as always.
You guys have baby faces.
Yeah, we're young boys.
It's the Botox.
Yeah. Except it doesn't help the bottom part of your
Wait,
face, only the top.
What about your
Oh,
like white teeth too? If we're talking about faces, you got really white teeth. Do you get them bleached?
Yes.
What do you do?
No. I spent, I had braces for like 6 years. Long time. A lot of work on these bad boys.
I did.
Yeah.
I did the laser whitening, but it was so painful. It was so painful that I never went back and did it again.
Really? I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Sensitive teeth. I don't think I want that.
Yeah, if you have sensitive teeth, like the lasers go through into the nerve, and it's not.
Oh, my teeth's hurting thinking
Ouch.
about it.
Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
But you know those little white strips that you can get at the pharmacy, those work pretty
Yeah,
good.
I've done those. It's been several years.
You know, it's just you got to brush your teeth every day, floss every day. You know, the routine is important.
Nicole said I'm like a preschooler. So I think I need to learn how to brush my teeth too. I don't do it every day. I probably should.
not just every
I don't
day.
do it. Wait.
Two
Let's
times a
clarify that.
day.
You don't brush or floss?
I don't floss every day. That's the
Oh,
that's
okay.
the qualifier. I gotta brush every day at least once. You know? So Blake, you're coming in wearing a new jersey. I'm gonna say it's number 45. When Michael Jordan retired and then came back, he's wearing the 4-5. So
I thought, well, and that's George W. Bush, right? So
Did it?
Good president, right?
He was 45th.
No, there was a documentary about. Oh no, Donald Trump was 45th.
Oh no, you're not. So you're no longer in blue and orange. Your jersey's what, neon and forest green?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that your jersey color now?
He was only a free agent for like a week, and then somebody swooped him.
I have been watching Squid Game.
Squid Game is good. I cried.
There's a lot of angst in that show.
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth watching?
Yes.
I think it is. It's very well done. Very well produced.
Yeah. Good story,
Incredibly
too.
violent, though. Incredibly.
Oh, he's gonna give me nightmares.
Is it okay for children? That's the debate in my
No,
house.
Scott. No. Not
That's
at
the
all.
debate
Not in the
in my-
slightest.
What about like, my daughter's 14, so
Yes, sure, fine.
I'm reading Harry Potter to Frankie because your son Frankie are about the same age.
Thomas is 6.
Yeah.
So
Frankie's
we're
6.
reading Judy Blume books. I have to like explain stuff to him sometimes though, because they take place in the 70s. And like the kids are roaming around Central Park by themselves. Like Thomas, don't ever do that.
So I know some accountants that have been doing this since the 70s. How about that? Yeah, I'm just trying to steer the conversation back to.
Oh yeah, no, good.
Our
good
world.
pivot. Well, they're all retiring. Yeah,
They
they're all
are
retiring.
retiring, and people are not necessarily in desperation, but they don't want to work another tax season, trying to basically retire. It's a buyer's market, no? Like
It is a buyer's market for traditional firms for sure. It's hard to sell one. I was just talking with a guy who has 1,400 1040s that he does every year. Him and his wife. Can you imagine? And I did the math on the average price, and he can't be charging more than $300 for each of these. So how do you sell that? Nobody wants that.
Those are people
No,
that just like doing that. They just like hitting that number and making it higher every year
that's true.
because you could double the price and do.
Well, and that's the thing. He's seriously underpriced, and he knows it, but he also doesn't know how to raise the price. He like was asking, for advice on that.
So I feel like a piece of shit because my prices are too high and I'm trying to figure out how to lower them. Like
That's a better
I'm really
problem.
turning away too much business now. Like it's
Yeah.
great when we land some clients, but our prices are just too high for some people. Where's the middle? Like I don't even know if there is a middle ground for me. Not, I mean, for me at least.
Well, your prices are. What's your close rate?
Very low.
How low?
Like
Maybe it's you, Scott, or your
20%.
prices.
I know. Maybe. Well, no, because I've been stepping away from sales all year, trying to at least. I have. I don't. It's probably it. I definitely is not just the prices because I did step away and I had more or less just tried to delegate sales. Doesn't work like that. That's not as easy to delegate as the work. So, I'm going back into it. I've got my head screwed on straight, not like this Lego that I'm playing with. His head's off right now. But
Nicole, do you have a feeling on this? What do you think of? Because the close rate kind of can tell you, assuming that you're doing a good job in the sales process, it gives you a good idea if your pricing is competitive or high enough. A lot of firms, they'll close, 80% or more of the business, which to me indicates that their prices aren't high enough. All other
Yeah.
things being equal. So I would say you shouldn't be closing more than half, right? And that's still pretty high, actually.
Yeah, I think it depends what you're trying to do. So for us, typically, if before we even talk to someone, we want to make sure that they're a good fit. And with the longer I've been doing this, the more selective I've gotten in terms of client size, client industry. So when we talk to someone and if we even present them with the proposal, we know there's like a really good match there.
Mm.
And typically there's chemistry, right? I think a lot of times half of the sales process is just making sure there's good chemistry between you and the client. The more chemistry you have, the more likely they are to close.
Right.
We're probably at 50 to 60%. I think our prices are, I think our prices are, I don't know. It depends who you ask. Like some clients will come and think it's completely reasonable. And then some will, get a quote for $300 a month for bookkeeping and they don't really understand everything that goes into what we can do in terms of offering more of the operating help. So,
Well, there's a lot of variables there, but the fact that you've got clients on both sides means you're probably, in the middle.
yeah, and I think we leverage technology a lot better than a lot of firms do. So even though we may have pretty high margins, it's because we're leveraging technology, so it enables us to offer it at a decent price.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I need to start leveraging the word decent price. I think when they say it's too high, then I'm starting to listen to them, and that's where I'm eroding my confidence right there. We send a proposal out. It's like maybe I forgot how much it was, but they end up finding somebody different for tax, different for accounting, tax person $300 to $400 for a partnership return and an S corp return. And an individual, they said about that much each. They don't know exactly. And then the accounting was $200 a month.
Yeah. Well,
See, you can't compete with that.
yeah, I wouldn't even, I would say like, fine, if you think you're going to get good quality.
So I related it to Apple. I responded back and I said, we're more or less a closed system and we're offering both services under that one roof. So you're going to get everything you need within that one system. You don't have to leave. You're going to pay a premium for that too. Sorry. I mean, I didn't say sorry, but it was more or less like.
To me, if a client goes with that lowball offer, then we didn't do a good job communicating the value and like the you get what you pay for factor. Yeah, and there's no point in even trying to compete with that.
No, and these are people that were running off of spreadsheets. They got a company that's approaching $1 million, and they've been running off of spreadsheets for like 3 years, 4 years. Like they have never done a bank rec.
It's always hard to sell a client that hasn't paid anything for accounting the value of it because obviously they don't value of it.
Yeah,
we just onboarded a client, a $3 million business running off spreadsheets for like 20 years. So I was like, there's no way this guy's going to sign if he's just going along, but he did. And then they just keep buying more and more services from us because They realized it was actually a lot of stuff on his operations person's plate. So he realized that we could do a lot of things that he was doing. And so he started like buying more services from us. But I think a lot of times the business owner doesn't realize it because his tax accountant was just putting together a quarterly report for him. So he was getting the information, but not realizing how much of the accounting process was affecting the rest of his team.
So what motivated this guy to get his shit together?
His 401k advisor introduced us. And so like at the end of the year, he does very profitable business, digital agency. So they pay out a profit sharing plan. So you need financials to be able to say, okay, what did we do this year? What's our profit? So that I can actually pay this out.
So they set up the profit sharing plan, and then that necessitated actually having clean books.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's something that his buddy with his accountant was just this old guy that had been doing everything super manually. And so part of it was a relationship where he didn't want to ruin the relationship, but he knew it wasn't servicing him.
See, that's what I always try to get to. I love to find out the why behind why are they coming to us? Because if it's just, I need my books done to get the taxes done, they're going to value it very low. They're going to have very low value attached to that. And also, we probably shouldn't be trying to sell them everything. We should just sell them the quickest, dirtiest solution there is, because all they need is numbers to plug into a return. But if they need good financials for a profit sharing agreement with their employees, well, they might have to open those books up to inspection at some point. So the quality, like there's a huge risk there if it's not done right.
Yeah, we have a questionnaire. There's like 5 or 6 options of how to use your financial statements. And one of them is file my tax return, manage my business. I have investors. I have a bank. I want to get a line of credit. I want to get investors. So this whole list of questions. And so we know if they just answer to file my tax return, typically not a good client, because we want clients who actually use their financial statements.
That's great.
Manage their business.
Yeah, I like that question.
And the best one is, well, I don't know. You'll have to tell me what you think of this, Nicole, is I want to sell my business.
So yeah, that's one of the questions too. We asked, did you plan to sell your business in the next 2 to 5 years? Explain.
Yep.
Because we've made mistakes in the past where we brought on a client that has a retroactive work, catch-up work. And I'm like, okay, we'll just do this on cash basis. And then we'll start with accrual in the following year. And then then they want to sell. And the sellers are like, okay, why is this on cash basis and this on accrual basis? So when you start asking those questions ahead of time, it allows you to advise them on how things should be set up in the beginning and then doesn't bite you in the ass later.
Yep.
Yeah. So I've been trying to focus. I had 4 days in a row where I slept. I have my ring that does my sleep score, and I got over a 90. I never get 90. So I was very focused. And then last night, poof, out of control.
Well,
it happened.
Get back on that horse. Keep on riding.
I think it's finding peace, right? Like sometimes you just have to find peace. For somebody like me, at least. For me, it's financial. It's always financial. It always goes back to money.
Well, if I may leave you with some words of wisdom that I didn't come up with, but I try to live by, it's a lot easier to adjust your living expenses to fit what you've got than try to make more money. Like the paraphrase, right? But living within your means you don't have to go out and make more. It gives you a lot of flexibility and
so I take
peace.
that to I take it to a different extreme. I need to have a lot of savings to feel safe. And I realized that, like, it's not even something that I'm pretty frugal. I don't spend that much. I don't go crazy. To me, I make some stupid financial decisions on paper for the sake of safety. So I like to take risks in my life, but not financially.
So you are overly conservative financially.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, have I gotten an investment for you, Scott?
There we go. What's the investment?
Well, you clearly got money to spend, right? So
I do.
I'm just
Well, I don't know,
What's
Scott,
the
'cause
investment?
you fired like half your clients, and I think that was pretty risky.
Yeah, but I already knew what was going to happen in the end. That was no risk at all. I don't know. That's a safe move. Being an accountant is safe, don't you think?
Agree.
Like what you're doing is not safe. Like I'm concerned
Well,
for you.
I can always go back to doing accounting if it
Yeah.
doesn't work out, you know? That's the beautiful part about our profession.
You've taken some risks. Well, you've also sold your business,
I
and
did.
yeah, so
In the big scheme of things, it is not risky. And also, like with my app, I'm not going out and raising money right away. I'm self-funding this thing. I'm bootstrapping this thing, whatever you want to call it. And I only want to take investment if it makes sense, not just because I have to. I think there's just too many companies that go out there and they raise a bunch of money to do something that, and they didn't really need to, and they waste it because they don't know
Yeah.
what to spend it on, right?
Yeah.
And we see that as accountants all the time. That like, if you, it's just like time, right? Work expands to fill the time. If you have a lot of money, your expenses expand to fill that money. So I'm trying to be lean, and that's my approach.
Blake, so your app called Earmark, so we'll download the Earmark app and then we'll be
Yep.
able to listen to podcasts as accountants and get CPE.
That's the idea.
When
And
does it go live?
We just got NASBA final approval.
No way.
Like literally, I was dancing before I got on this call because of that.
Yes.
You just
I'm
got
so excited.
Just got it. Got the email. Yeah. So
Ooh, congratulations! That's a big deal.
So
that's it.
That is, you know, you
So
have
if I
some
go-
competition in the North Americas now too, right?
Yep. We got a
LumiQ.
competitor. Yep.
LumiQ just got their NASPA like what 3 weeks ago or something.
Yes. But you know, they have a different go-to-market model. They're subscription from the beginning, and
Yeah.
mine's freemium.
I know this is what's really
Yeah.
cool about that, and that's why I wanted to bring it up. I actually was going to bring it up anyway. Like they're basically like the paid service. And you just said that the paid subscription,
Yeah, I
premium,
mean-
but it's that some people want the paywall, right?
Well,
We've had this conversation.
And LumiQ, to their credit, is creating amazing content, and they're creating all of it. And I want to open up Earmark to other creators. So if you have a podcast and you want to get CPE for it, then you could put it on Earmark, and we could give CPE for it.
Really, I know we've had this conversation.
Yeah.
Anybody out there, if you have an accounting type podcast, if you're listening, because most podcasters listen to other podcasts, like
Yeah.
that's
So I want to help those folks. I mean, they're producing valuable educational content, right? I want them to be able to offer CPE too. So that's part of this app. That's the idea. Figuring out how to make that happen.
So it's going to be an open ecosystem, more or less. You're going to be like the Slack and have all these other partners kind of work with, maybe not Slack. What's the right analogy?
Think of it like YouTube, but
Yeah.
for accounting content. and we
CPE of YouTube.
Yeah, or something like that. That's
So are
cool
you-
eventually.
are you going to charge podcasters for putting their podcast
Just
on there,
charge with
or
their
is it-
ears, right?
Well,
you got to listen to ads.
How is the financial part of
So-
it work?
it does take time to create the course. So
Ah,
at-
okay.
at- but I'm going to do that at first to help people out. I don't know how. I mean, ultimately, I think sponsors could fund all this. So the idea is that
Mm.
we can put ads in the podcasts, etc., and then it can be free. And people are used to that. And maybe there'll be a premium offering so that you don't have to listen to ads if you want to subscribe. Like just like you have these, like YouTube does that, right?
Premium, yeah.
You don't want ads, you get, what do they call it? YouTube Red.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm still working out the details. You know, the goal is just to launch something where it works, and Nicole is psyched to use it.
So
you know?
excited. I love podcasts.
Like
Exactly.
you do beta testing, right? Like before you
So-
start,
Yeah.
and
The beta is going to launch, and then people will be able to actually get the CPE. It won't have all of the features like the paid subscriptions and whatnot. And then we'll go from there. I'm going to get community feedback. You know, we'll just make it really awesome. That is the plan.
I think it's gonna blow up. I think accountants
so
have been
too.
waiting for this.
I think they have. Well, because the day nowadays, this COVID post world, I listen a lot more, and I have created more space for things that I want to do intentionally. And I think I like being outside, going on walks. So I don't know. I'm excited for this new world of CPE.
Me too. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. So the
But, you know,
relay
it's-
and the CPE, they kind of feed into each other. I mean, you're still spend time doing most of the same things, right?
Exactly. I'll be at the same conferences. Relay really supports the CPE project, and like I mentioned, I use Relay for Earmark in all the podcasts I'm making. So it's something that I'm using all the time. Easy to talk about.
Relay has a
But
good network of accountants too, right? A good email list. Maybe they'll promote you
I
when
hope
you get
so.
Earmark up and running.
I hope so. Yeah.
I love it.
So what's the big goal, right? Everybody's got a big, hairy, audacious goal.
The goal?
Yeah.
To fix CPE, because I think CPE is broken. I think it's viewed as a check the box thing. We get on webinars, we aren't really paying attention. We're just answering polling questions, and we do it because it's convenient, not because we need to learn something. And then we go elsewhere and we learn. We go to meetup groups that don't offer it, and that's where we learn the real stuff, or we listen to podcasts, and that's where we learn the real stuff. Well, we should be getting credit for that and not be doing this bullshit check the box kind of CPE that people do. So I want to actually align it again so that we're learning.
Do you have a greater appreciation for the ears and the podcast because of Thomas? Like the listening part, I mean that seriously.
Well, because my son Thomas has cochlear implants, right? So it is a little ironic. Yeah, I guess I do. It's nice.
Like when you know that you could not have some, because of science, he does have his hearing, but to be able to appreciate that, and then I don't know, it brings it kind of full circle too.
No, maybe I'll put a little cochlear implant on the logo at some point, right? Actually, I was thinking that if I can make this thing work, I do want it to have a charitable arm. And so one of the things I've been thinking about doing is doing a campaign where, a certain percentage of the money that we make at Earmark goes to hearing aids for kids in developing countries, where they can't afford it, stuff like that.
That's so cool.
We're listening, we're learning. They can't listen. Let's help them listen.
That's your org. It's going to be your nonprofit.
Yeah.
But then, yeah.
So cochlear implants.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Yeah. There's organizations that also raise money to do cochlear implants for kids in the developing world, but the hearing aids actually make a bigger impact for less money. So, that's where the ROI is.
The Apple headphones are like hearing aids too. Like when you put the transparency on, it puts a mic on out there to give you a better feed.
Yeah, they're starting to build some hearing aid features into that actual accessibility. You can now actually use your phone microphone and stream that into your AirPods.
So thank you
all right
again.
Great to see you, Scott. Great to see you, Nicole.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.